Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be making some resin trays. I got these tray molds from Let's Resin a while back and I'm going to be doing my favorite glitter technique for resin trays. I'm going to be using all these different glitters. I even have some little 3D diamond shaped bits here that I think will add a little more sparkle and possibly texture. I will also be using the gel clings again. I promise this is the last video for these for a while, but I really want to use these little trees in my resin. Before I get started, I do want to show you a close-up of these molds. As you can see, these molds take 9.8 ounces of resin each, so I'm going to use quite a bit of resin today. These molds are from the 3-tier serving tray set, but unfortunately, this set has been discontinued, but I just want to quickly show you the dimensions of these molds as well. Now, today I'm going to be using the Bondcrafter resin and I'm going to start with 4 ounces. And this resin is going to be for the glitter part in this technique for the resin trays. I have done this in a couple of my videos, so if you're a long-time watcher of my channel, you have an idea of what I'm about to do. So I've divided my resin into two and I'm going to make my sparkly concoctions now. I am making two trays. I'm going to do one with the classic red, green, and gold glitter, and the other I'm going to mix different blues and white for a more wintry vibe. I'm currently looking out my window and it's snowing, so I'm feeling all the wintry vibes. We're meant to get 10 centimeters today into tomorrow, so hopefully it stays around. Anyways, resin tip. When you're working with glitter on a silicone mat, be sure to have some tape handy so you can clean up any glittery messes. Glitter tends to cling onto silicone, so it's not always an easy wipe off. I'm just going to mix these up. Aren't these glitters just gorgeous? And then I can put this resin into my molds. And to do that, I'm actually going to be doing it a different way this time. This is actually my second attempt at this video, which I'll go into in a moment. But to put this resin into my molds, I'm going to use pipettes. I've already gone ahead and cut off the thinner part. This glitter is a little chunky, so the ends of the pipettes do need to be a bit bigger. So I'm just going to squeeze the pipette to suck up the resin, and then I will squeeze out the resin straight into the edges of the molds. But yeah, like I was saying, this is my second go at this project. When I do this glitter technique, I usually just pour my resin straight from the cup into the molds. However, since this was my first time using these tray molds, I didn't know how tight the space in the mold was, so when I poured in the glitter resin mixture from my cup, it just ended up spreading up the sides of the mold. And that's not the look I'm going for with this technique. I did try pouring again in the opposite side of the mold to practice, but it turned out the same way. I was about to throw in the towel and change the molds, but then I remembered about pipettes, so here we are. With the pipettes, I have more control of the flow of the resin, and I can put it right into the edge of the molds like so. When it comes to the look I'm trying to achieve in this technique, I want most of the glitter to be in the rims of the trays with a slight fade of glitter going into the lip. I really like how this looks in resin trays, and I feel it gives it a more unique look instead of me just making it all one color. Gives it a little bit more character. You'll have to let me know what you all think of it once I show you the reveal. By the way, the reason I'm tapping these molds against my table is just to help any air bubbles rise to the top and also to help the glitter drop a bit. I will be letting this resin sit for a little while before going in with more clear resin so that the glitter doesn't float up, even though we do want it to float a tiny bit to give us that glittery fade. All right, I've left this glittery resin to sit for about 25 minutes, so now I can pour in my clear resin. I have 10 ounces here and I'm going to divide this resin into both molds. It's not enough to fill them. Remember, I still need space for the gel clings. This is just going to be enough to cover the silicone in the middle, if that makes any sense. What do you call the silicone in the middle? Like, how would I refer to that? Anyone have any idea? I always don't know what to call it because it's the top part of the piece, but it's the bottom of the mold. So now that these molds are filled, I'm going to place my gel clings in the resin. I'm going to place the trees in the classic Christmassy colors tray and the snowflakes in the wintry blue tray. If you haven't seen any of my other two videos where I try these gel clings in resin, all I'm going to do is gently lay these on the resin, making sure I don't get any resin on top so that come tomorrow, when this resin is cured, I can just peel these off and will be left with the imprints of the designs, in this case, these trees and snowflakes in the resin. I'm essentially just using these gel clings like silicone inlays. As much as I love me a good sticker on resin, and trust me, I love stickers, I feel that using silicone inlays or these gel clings adds a more handmade touch to the resin pieces since there is a bit more you can do with these. Let me know in the comments if you've tried using silicone inlays in your resin work or if you've given these gel clings a try yet. Once I've laid all these down, I will have to babysit these trays for the next hour or so just to make sure these clings stay put. Resin seems to have a mind of its own and pretty much moves until the point it solidifies, so I just want to make sure that the positioning of these don't change too much. The great thing about these gel clings being transparent is that I can see the air bubbles that are under them, so I will go in with a toothpick to push the air bubbles I see out. Now I'm going to let this resin cure up and I'll be back tomorrow. This resin is cured now, so let's peel these clings off. Oh no! The color from the cling dyed the resin. No! Boo! Okay, I'm going to peel these off and I will have to regroup and see what to do. This is so annoying. It's not even a nice Christmassy green. This also happened in the first video I did with these clings, but that time it was only the orange colored cling, so I was hopeful, but ah man, the snowflakes too. I might have to rethink this window gel cling thing, and I'm going to shelve it for now, but hey, you know what? It's better that it's happened to me, and I've caught it on camera, and I can show you all. Okay, I'm going to take a moment to figure this out and also see how to cover this pink up as well. All right, so I'm going to fix these trays by trying to hide the stains. I've got more glitter here and I'm also going to use a navy blue mica. I'm not going to lie, I have been thinking about whether or not to continue with this project. That pink snowflake is really throwing me off since for that tray I'm going for blues, but I'm going to see this through since, like I mentioned, the first time around I did this, something similar happened with the orange cling, and although you can still see it in the outline, I feel like I managed to make it look more intentional, so fingers crossed I can make these look good too. I'm just hoping I can hide the pink, which is why I'm going to use the navy blue mica powder. I think having the darker blue is really going to help mask the pink and the other blue stain. As for the trees, I'm going to fill in the space with holographic green glitter. So now comes the part of the whole process that can be a bit tedious. It's filling in all these cavities. It's mostly tedious because I need to make sure I put in the right amount of resin where it won't spill over. If it were to spill over, it would be seen and it could contort the cling designs. I will speed this part up so it's not so long for you, but these parts can be somewhat fun. I'm currently imagining I'm doing one of those color by numbers coloring pages. It all comes down to patience. Another way I could have colored in these resin imprints, especially if I had used actual silicone inlays, would have been to dust the inlays with mica powder first before laying the inlays in resin. If you dust it properly, the mica powder transfers really nicely into resin. I don't know if I can do that with these gel clings since I haven't tried that. Plus, like I've mentioned before, I don't actually know what kind of plastic these are made of, so I don't know what would happen. I do wonder though, if I had dusted these clings, would the mica powder create a barrier and block the dye from transferring into the resin? It could be a potential solution. I could have also just dusted the imprints themselves with mica powder directly, but the issue with that is once resin is cured, it can be a little tricky to get mica powder to stick to it. But nonetheless, if I had gone the mica powder route, I still would have had to fill these in individually with a black or solid white resin to make the mica powder stand out. For me personally, when I dust mica powders in my resin, I always dye the resin black because that's what I think makes the micas look best. But yeah, there are a few different ways that you can color in these resin imprints. You don't have to go the glitter route like I am. Okay, so it's been a few hours since I filled these in, and this resin is pretty much set. It's not fully cured, but I can go ahead and pour in the final layer to fill up the rest of these molds. I've got another 7 ounces of epoxy here, and I'm just going to mix it with the dazzling diamond mica to mimic a snowy white background for these trays. I don't want to make the background too busy and highly detailed so that these trees and snowflakes don't get lost. If you're still here, be sure to comment down below a Christmas tree or snowflake emoji to let me know. But I'm at the home stretch. These resin trays have really taken me on an emotional roller coaster journey of whether to finish them or not, and whether or not to keep using gel clings in my resin work. The great thing is that they do work for what I wanted them for, but the question is whether I'm okay with them staining the resin and having to cover it up. I think depending on how these trays turn out will be the deciding factor. I still will leave these videos here for anyone who's interested, but obviously it is up to you whether or not you want to try this yourself. At least we do know that the clear and white gel clings don't dye the resin. And we also do know now that these are reusable since this is my second time using the white snowflakes. Now I'm going to let this resin cure up and I'll be back once they're ready. All right, my friends, these trays are ready. I've actually gone ahead and demolded these because there was a bit of a struggle taking them out of the molds, and it did take me quite a while, so I've cut that footage out, but who's ready for the reveal? I think both these trays turned out really lovely considering the roller coaster they put me through. And I love how the rims of these trays turned out. They came out exactly how I wanted. I just love the look of the concentrated glitter in the edge with the slight fade into the clear resin. I'm especially really happy that I was able to mask the stains from the window clings. You can still see a little bit of the pink in the snowflake, but as for the other stains, you wouldn't even know they were there. The only thing I would change though is the silvery snowflakes on both trays because they have gotten lost in the pearly white background. They look more like blobs of glitters than snowflakes. I should have chosen a different colored glitter, but it is what it is. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and let me know which tray is your favorite. Mine might have to be the wintry snowflake one just because I like how there isn't much empty space in the design. And here's a quick shot of what these trays look like in the sunlight. I hope you all enjoyed this video and that you've learned something. If you did, then please smash the like button. And if you'd like to see other resin projects I've done, then be sure to click one of these videos. Thanks so much for watching. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays!